Magandang araw sa inyong lahat. So again, welcome to our subject. And for today, we are about to discuss change in accounting estimates and expenditures after initial recognition. So this is your instructor, Noel Bergonia. So just sit back, relax, okay, take down notes, and if you do have questions, please let me know on our respective chat boxes. All right. So I think we can start already. So typically, guys, no, in our previous discussion about property, plant, and equipment, we have estimated the useful life, even the salvage value of our particular property, plant, and equipment, okay, for the depreciation purposes. So right now, no, sometimes there would be changes that could happen to those estimates. Okay, so we will be discussing them today. Okay, and also the expenditures, no, that we have after the initial recognition. So let's first define the rationale behind why is there a need for us to change the estimates, no, that we have in property, plant, and equipment. So technically, the change in accounting estimate, okay, is covered under IAS number 8. Okay, which is our standard for the accounting policies, changes in accounting estimates, and accounting errors. No, so let's just get no the rationale of the changes in the accounting estimates via that standard. So technically, we use reasonable amount of estimates, no, as part of our preparation of the financial statement. But take note that these estimates does not undermine the reliability or the faithful representation of our uh, financial information. Okay, so sometimes since these are estimate and these are somehow the most reliable and most likely outcome, okay, of estimates that we have, okay, they need also to be changed, no, if there would be circumstances, no, based on what we have experienced, no, that we need to change it. Okay, some reason why it's because either no the basis o kaya naman po, or there would be there would be a result of new information, no, that arises. Okay, it's either there is a new standard or there is new, more reliable information that is available. Okay, or even we experience more, no, then we could say that we need to change the accounting estimates. Okay, so take note, guys, that this revision in our accounting estimates are not considered as prior period errors. Okay, and they are not intended to be corrected. Okay, kasi this is not an error eh. So what happened here is tama naman yung estimate natin in the previous periods, but may dumagdag lang na new information or we experience more, no, as we progress with our operations. Okay, then it results for us to change our estimate, no, that was previously reliable with a more reliable information. So we need to adapt those changes. And again, please take note, they are not considered as errors. Okay, so how do we treat, no, this accounting estimate, okay, as they changes? In accordance still with IAS number 8 natin, okay, so the effect of the changes in our accounting estimates should be recognized prospectively. Okay, so yung other word for, or the antonym for our prospectively is retrospective. 'Di ba? Yung kabaliktaran is retrospective, which means from the beginning. Okay, yung retrospective. While when we talk about prospective, okay, this means that we will just change, okay, the period, okay, that affects the changes, okay, moving forward, no? So kung ngayon po, okay, nagkaroon ng pagbabago, let's say this year, okay, so we will affect the changes, okay, on the in that period, no, on this year, for example, and also the future periods, okay, that will be affected. Okay, so hindi na po natin babalikan. Okay, so halimbawa ngayon po ay 2021, no? So nagkaroon po ng change in accounting estimates. Okay, hindi na po natin kailangan balikan or hindi na po natin kailangan mag retrospective restatement, no? Because when we talk about change in accounting policy, the changes will apply during the current period as well as the future period. Kaya nga po siya prospectively. Okay? And again, take note guys that there will be no adjustments in the prior periods. Okay, since this is not considered as a change in accounting policy, just like what we have experienced in inventories, that we try to retrospect the amounts because there would be changes in the method being used. Okay, and also if there would be errors, hindi rin po natin uh, gagayahin yon na kailangan pa nating i-retrospect yung mga amounts natin. Okay? So take note of that. Put that in your mind that this current period and the future period will be affecting the changes already. Okay? So right now, we have already discussed yung rationale at saka how do we treat the changes in accounting estimates. So let's now proceed on the specifics ng change in accounting estimates in our property, plant, and equipment. Okay, so these are some of the changes in our accounting estimates, okay, where we have a change in either the salvage value or our scrap value, o kaya naman po yung useful life or even the depreciation method. Yes, you read it right, that based on our discussion, okay, depreciation methods as it changes, let's say for example from straight line to SYD, o kaya naman from SYD to double declining, they are considered still as change in accounting estimate. Okay? Are we clear on that? All right. So in accordance na po with IAS number 16, okay, our residual value or our salvage value as well as the useful life of our property, plant, and equipment needs to be reviewed at least each financial year. So ibig sabihin, the review of the residual value and our useful life will be done annually. Okay, and of course, if it differs in our expectations from the previous period, okay, yung estimate natin in the previous period, then we need to effect and account it as change in accounting estimates. Okay? So ayun po So the changes in our salvage value, even the useful life and depreciation method are collectively, again, as mentioned kanina, changes in our accounting estimates. Take note again that we will not change, just as mentioned kanina, based on IAS number 8 naman, na we will not be changing the previous period. Okay? But rather, we will be applying it prospectively. Di ba? Kaya dito, no adjustments should be made on the depreciation already been recorded in the previous periods natin. Okay, so aayusin na lang natin or i-adjust na lang natin yung amounts ngayon, okay, at the time na nag-effect yung change and also moving forward. Okay, so are we clear on that? So one thing that you need to understand guys na bago po magkaroon ng changes in accounting estimate, you need first to have the updated balance of your property, plant, and equipment, the updated carrying value, and then we will now effect the changes. Okay, so to give you examples about the changes in accounting estimates, okay, here is our first example. Okay, so we have example number 1. You are being asked of the revised depreciation expense for the year 2020. Okay, so how much is the depreciation expense for the year 2022? Okay, 2022 pala, no? Sorry. So on January 1, 2020, the Myeongdong Manufacturing Company purchased a machine for 250,000. So this is the cost of our machinery. Okay, at the time of purchase, our company, okay, had estimated that the useful life will be 5 years. So that's the initial estimate, 5 years in useful life, and we have a salvage value of 50,000. So after the review on 2021, okay, now effecting it on January 1, 2022, the company revised its estimate on which the useful life should have been 8 years. So na-assess natin ay dapat hindi pala 5 years, okay? So based on again the experience or even based on some sort of mga more reliable sources natin, from 5 years supposed to be dapat dinepreciate natin siya or i-depreciate po within 8 years. Okay? So the company uses straight line method to depreciate all assets and the company uses calendar period. Okay, so what had happened here is there is only a change in the period, okay, or the useful life. Okay, yung salvage value wala pong binanggit na nagbago, so it will be the same. Okay, so how do we treat for that? Okay, so the first step is to identify magkano po yung carrying value bago nag-effect yung changes on January 1, 2020. So kung mapapansin nyo, we have bought the machinery on January 1, 2020, okay, and then dumaan po yung 2021. So 2 taon po bago nagkaroon ng changes in the year 2022. So let us identify the carrying value. Okay, so of course, no, in our previous year, since we are using straight line method, so the depreciation in the previous 2 years natin before there was a change, okay, is actually 40,000. Okay, so that would be the 250,000 na cost less the salvage value, no? So the depreciable cost is 200,000. Then divide it with the initial estimate na 5 years. Kaya po every year, no, in 2020 and 2021, we have just recorded 40,000. Okay? So overall, now we have an 80,000 na um, accumulated depreciation. Okay? So kailangan natin yon to enable us to get the book value, no, at the time that we have revised it. Okay, so the cost is still 250,000. Then remember kanina 40,000 each year yung na-record natin in the past 2 years. Then our accumulated depreciation was 80,000. Thus the book value or the carrying value, no, at the time that we have changed the estimate, no, na from 5 years supposed to be, it should be 8 years, no. So the book value on the time, okay, at the beginning of the period, okay, for the changes would be 170,000. Okay, so that will be our starting point already, no? So yung 170,000 na yun. Then, okay, so we will be deducting the salvage value. So i-deduct mo ulit yung salvage value since you have the book value, no, which we did not deduct muna yung salvage value, but in terms of computation, diniduct natin for depreciation purposes only. Okay, so dito, no, since again revised depreciation yung tanong, then we will be computing again the revised depreciable base or yung ating revised depreciable cost, di ba? So the revised one is already 120,000. Then remember that it should be divided by the estimated remaining useful life. Okay, so kanina 5 years, 'di ba? Okay, and then naging 8 years. So yung 8 years na yon, okay, from the time na binili natin yon in 2020 and 2021, okay, di ba ang nangyari is we depreciated it already. So nag-depreciate tayo ng 2 years na. So the remaining useful life na po is 6 years, no? So 6 years, then ibig sabihin the revised depreciation expense per year is only 20,000 na lang po. Okay? So are we clear on this, guys? Any questions or clarifications, please let me know on our chat box. So again, the important thing that you need to know, no, that whenever there is a change in accounting estimate, okay, we will be computing first the carrying value or the book value, okay, at the beginning of the period when the changes happen. So ito yung 170,000 kanina. If the depreciation method used, kasi po straight line ito, will be deducting the salvage value, then deduct the salvage value, okay? Then you will be allocating it na lang po on the remaining useful life. Okay, so bakit hindi po 8 years? Kasi nga po, tapos na yung 2 years, di ba, nakapag-record na nga tayo ng 40,000 each. At sabi natin kanina in the theoretical discussion, we should not, no, correct anymore or we should not adjust anymore the previous period natin. Okay, so 40,000 each per year doon sa previous period. But by this time, no, we will just be depreciating it until matapos po siya after the remaining 6 years, no, amounting to 20,000. Okay? So wala po tayong any correction of errors dito, ha. So ang typical lang na magiging entry na natin is debit depreciation expense. Okay? 20,000. Okay? And credit po tayo ng accumulated depreciation amounting to 20,000. Okay, so kumbaga parang ang nangyari po dito, the changes in the useful life had affected na po, okay, na nag-decrease yung ating depreciation expense for the next 6 years. Okay, so any questions or clarifications? Okay, so let's say for example, no, bigla kang tinanong, sir, magkano yung accumulated depreciation na po on the year 2022 after you have depreciated? Anong sagot? Halimbawa, yun yung tanong. Accumulated depreciation 2022. So your answer would be, of course, in 2021, no, meron ka na lahat 80,000. So 80,000 yon. Then during the year 2022, 'di ba? Nag-depreciate ka ulit, nag-credit ka ng 20,000, so plus 20,000. So just in case na tinanong po kita how much is the um, accumulated depreciation, so it would be 100,000. Okay? Eh sir, magkano naman yung carrying value? Okay, on December 31, 2022. Okay, so your answer would be, of course, yung cost natin is 250,000, di ba? So 250,000. Sorry, pagpasensya na yun yung pangit na sulat. 250,000. And then, wait lang. Ang pangit na sulat ko anyways. Okay, ayan. So you have 250,000. Okay, then you deduct po the 100,000. Okay, na accumulated depreciation. So of course, the answer would be, okay, the carrying value for December 31, 2022 would be amounting to 150,000. Okay? So to recheck it, 'di ba, nung January 1, 2020, may book value po tayo na 170,000 and then nag-depreciate po tayo, so nagdagdagan ng accumulated depreciation ng 20,000, and thus that will also be a carrying value of 150,000. Okay? So any questions or clarifications, please let me know lang po. Okay, so this is our first example, no, about the change in accounting estimate. We have a revision on the years po natin or the useful life. Okay, so we're done with example number 1. Okay, let's have another example. Okay, so the question is, again, the revised depreciation expense for the year 2022. Okay, so let's read the problem. On January 1, 2020, the Namsan Seoul company purchased a machine for 250,000. So again, that's the costs. Then at the time of purchase, the company estimated the useful life, okay, of the machine for 4 years. So 4 years, no, yung initial estimate, then the salvage value was 50,000. Then on January 1, 2022, so that is again 2 years after, no, the company revised its estimate that the remaining useful life is 4 years. Oops, okay? Remaining useful life daw is 4 years. So, di ba parehas lang? The useful life is 4 years, then remaining useful life is 4 years ulit? Hindi, no? Kasi on January 1, 2022, kung aalalahanin mo, no, in 2020 at saka 21, tapos na po tayo ng 2 years, 'di ba? So kung 4 na taon 'yon in total in the year or the initial estimate, no, minus the 2 years na nakalipas, supposed to be the remaining useful life po in 2022 was already 2 years na lang. However, no, from 2 years, ang sabi po dito, it will be 4 years. So yun yung unang change natin, no? May 4 years na po tayo ulit na remaining useful life. So kung isipin natin, in totality, ilan po yung useful life ng asset? The answer would be 6 years, di ba? Kasi kung tapos na yung dalawa and then may 4 years pa po na natitira, then 6 years supposed to be yung revised estimate, no? Pero tapos na po yung 2 years, kaya 4 years na lang po yung natitira ulit. Okay? Then also, the salvage value daw have been changed to 22,000. So dati 50,000, okay, and then we have now 22,000. Okay, the company uses a straight line method to depreciate all assets, okay, and company uses calendar period. So kanina in example number 1, we have only changed the useful life, 'di ba? So dito combination na po, no, ng useful life at saka salvage value. So ano ulit yung unang step po natin ng gagawin? First is to identify the carrying value of the asset before the changes happens. So still, no, in the year 2020 and 2021, the depreciation of our asset would be, okay, so you have the costs of 250,000, then since straight line naman po gamit, then deduct the initial estimated salvage value na 50,000. Then yung initial din na useful life was 4 years, so divide it by 4. Then every year, no, in the previous 2 years na 2020 and 2021, we have just depreciated our asset amounting to 50,000. So over the 2 years period natin, we have a total 100,000 na accumulated depreciation. Ngayon, pumunta na po tayo sa January 1, 2022, wherein we need to change our estimates, no? So ito po, no, the remaining book value at the end of 2021, of course, is 150,000. So saan nanggaling yan? Yung 250,000 na costs. Okay, then less nyo yung accumulated depreciation na 100,000. Okay? So that's our starting point again, no? So the book value at the beginning of 2022, which was the ending balance in 2021, was 150,000. Okay? Then again, no, since this is straight line method, we need to deduct now the revised salvage value. So the revised salvage value was 22,000. Okay, that's why the revised depreciable base or depreciable cost was 128,000. Okay? Now, the remaining useful life, as mentioned, diba, starting January 122, will have still remaining of 4 years. Just why we divide the 128,000 with 4 years. Okay, thus the revised depreciation po natin for 2022 in the preview in the hindi pala previous, no, and the succeeding, no, years pa, okay, until maubos po yung remaining useful life na 4 years would be 32,000. Okay, so yan na po yung ating revised depreciation expense. So again, nakukuha niyo na po yung pattern, no? Get first again the carrying value, okay, before tayo mag-change, and then effect the changes, okay, whether it's salvage value or the useful life. Basta make sure lang guys na ginagamit yung salvage value kasi there are methods that we have discussed in our depreciation, 'di ba? That we are not using the salvage value, 'di ba? Such as double declining and yung tinatawag din natin na declining balance method, 150%. Okay? So again, if you do have questions, please let me know lang po on our respective chat boxes. Okay? So I hope na okay pa po kayo dyan, no? Nakikinig. Just take down notes. If you have questions again, no? At gusto niyo siyang itanong in actual sa akin, then take down notes lang po. Okay? And then raise that in our group chat or raise that personal to me on our next synchronous session. Okay? So that's our example number 2. Okay. And then let's have our last example for the change in accounting estimates. Okay. And about salvage value or even useful life kanina, no? Ngayon naman po, how about there is a change as well in the depreciation method? Okay, so let's have example number 3. And again, we are being asked of the revised depreciation expense for the year 2022. Okay, so revised depreciation expense. So let's read the data, no? So on January 1, 2020, the Busan company purchased a machine for 250,000. So that's our cost again. And then at the time of purchase, the company estimated the useful life of the machine for 4 years, okay, and having a salvage value of 50,000. The company uses a straight line method to depreciate the machine. So that's the initial depreciation method, no? Straight line. Now on January 1, 2022, which is 2 years after the date of acquisition, the company revised its estimate on which the remaining useful life will be 3 years. Okay, so 'di ba kanina kung 4 years 'yon initially, and then natapos na po yung 2 years, supposed to be the remaining useful life na lang ulit on 2022 moving forward is remaining of 2 years. Pero again, no, nagkaroon ng change in the useful life, okay? From 2022, ang sabi po, it should be 3 years. So mamaya, in our revised depreciation, we will be depreciating it over the next 3 years pa. Also, our salvage value, kanina 50,000, it have now go down or nag-decrease po siya to 22,000 na lang. Okay, and here is the another application that we will be using here in our change in accounting estimate, okay, wherein the depreciation method will be sum of the years digit method already. So kanina from state line, ngayon po sum of the years, okay? So how do we do it? Okay, so again, ano yung first step? Ayan, tama ka, no? Identify first the carrying value at the time na nagkaroon ng changes. So, January 1, 2022. Okay, so determine that again. We have our costs. No, initially we have 250,000. Then every year since 250,000 po yung costs, okay, and then 50,000 yung initial salvage value, okay, then divide it with the initial na estimated useful life na 4 years, then we will have again 50,000 per year, no, na depreciation. So lumipas na po yung 2 taon, kaya the accumulated depreciation as of 2021, no, after the depreciation entry was 100,000. So in that case, the book value of December 31, 2021, which is also the book value or carrying value ng January 1, 2022, would be 150,000. Okay? Then we have to use already the revised salvage value. So the revised salvage value was 22,000. Okay, and the revised depreciable base was 128,000. Okay, so I hope that that is clear, ha, that that is the revised depreciable costs on January 1, 2022, which we need to allocate within 3 years, which is yun po yung isa sa changes, di ba? And also the depreciation method. So since we are using na po sum of the years digit method, so in the SYD discussion po natin, now we need to determine the sum of the years, which would be computed as we use the remaining useful life of 3 years, di ba? Times 3 plus 1 all over 2. So that would be equal to 6 years. Okay, so our SYD will be 6 years. Okay, so let's now identify the revised depreciation. So using the depreciable base, no, of 128,000, and I'll try to present to you na po yung remaining 3 years na revised depreciation. Okay, so here is now the tabular computation natin. So we multiply the revised depreciable base with our multiplier na SYD. So remember, the first year of the SYD will be the maximum number of years, di ba? Kaya 3 over 6, okay, which is the denominator acting as the SYD natin. So for 2022, the revised depreciation natin would be 64,000. Okay? And then in 2023 po, still no, the 128,000 na depreciable base, and since this is the second year, that's why 2 over 6 po, no? So 42,667. And then lastly for 2024, we have the okay, so for 2024 we have 128,000 times 1 over 6 po. Okay, so that would be the last year natin, di ba, in the depreciation. Okay, so that will be a depreciation expense of 21,333. Okay? So yan po yung mga revised depreciation expenses natin for the succeeding years natin because of una, change in our useful life, the change in salvage value, and of course, the change in our what? Depreciation method. Okay? So pwede rin pong mabaliktad, no, na from straight line, from SYD naman going to straight line, again we will be needing the revised, 'di ba, useful life, okay? Kung nag-change din na salvage value, similar din, no? Consider the revised. Okay? So pwede rin po from straight line to double declining. So ganun po, no? Kung ilan po yung remaining useful life, yun po yung kukomputan natin ng double declining balance rate natin. Okay? So are we clear on that, guys? So we will have more examples of this in our synchronous session. Okay? So that's for our change in accounting estimates, no, on the salvage value, useful life, as well as depreciation method. Okay, again, if you do have questions, please let me know lang po sa ating respective chat boxes. All right. So after now about the changes, no, so the next topic that we are about to discuss would be expenditures after initial recognition. Okay, so entities, no, may spend amount of money, no, to um, either repair or improve the capacity or the condition of our property, plant, and equipment. So we will be talking about that here, no, in this particular discussion. So an entity, take note that based on IAS number 16, does not recognize any amount of the carrying value, no, about the cost of day-to-day servicing natin of the item. Okay, so hindi po natin sinasama sa ating cost of PPE yung mga cost of day servicing or yung usual na maintenance, no, ng ating mga PPE. Diba? Your maintenance or repairs expenses will just be simply considered as expenses. So they are not to be capitalized as part of our property, plant, and equipment. So this cost of day-to-day services natin or the repairs includes yung labor natin or even yung mga parts na pinalitan, no, small parts na pinalitan. So that's usual maintenance kasi, 'di ba? That is not actually necessary naman for really tawag dito, improving the capacity of the property, plant, and equipment, but it's just used to maintain, okay, the functionality of that PPE. Now, the entities only capitalize the expenditures about our PPE if they are expected to produce benefits beyond the current fiscal year. Okay, so kaya yung cost of day-to-day servicing or maintenance po, they are just considered as benefiting over one period. On that period lang, kasi di ba every time naman, paulit-ulit na tayo ay nagpapa-maintenance, no? Nagpapalinis, kaya naman nagpapa-paint ng ating mga machines or even building, so they are chargeable as expense, no? What we will be discussing in the succeeding slides would be all about the expenditures that can be capitalized, no? And what's the effect of the additional capitalized expenditures in our depreciation, accumulated, and even the carrying values po natin. Okay? So, the expenditures associated would increase its benefit as mentioned kanina in the previous slide if, number one, okay, it extends the useful life of an asset. Okay, so if that maintenance, okay, actually maintenance, that's a usual one lang, di ba? If there would be a repair, for example, on the parts or even you will be replacing, let's say for example, a part of that particular PPE and it extends the life of the asset. So kanina in our change in accounting estimates, di ba, nagkaroon ng increase in the useful life, there could also be a decrease. But in this case, if the expenditure na ginastos natin for that PPE extends the life of the asset, then it would increase the benefit and thus that will also be capitalized. Okay? Another would be another cost of the future benefits natin is when there would be an increase in the operating capacity, no, and the capacity of the asset resulting to a reduction of the future operating costs as well as quantity of goods will be increased. Okay, so there was an operating efficiency, no, nag-increase yung capacity ng asset, o kaya naman nag-increase yung quantity na pinoproduce niya or services at saka nag-decrease yung operating cost natin, then it means that that expenditure needs to be capitalized. Okay? And then lastly, if it increase as well the quality of goods. Kasi baka mamaya nagpa-repair ka and then mas maganda yung naging output na kilalabasan because of that additional expenditure that you have or improvement that you have in that particular PPE, then again, it should be capitalized. Okay? So what would be the effect if the amount was being capitalized? Okay, so yun po yung idadagdag natin, okay, in our particular na um, discussion ngayon na examples. Okay. So let's have, ay, lumabas na, sorry yung sagot. Okay, so let's have, let's say for example, this number 4, no? How much is the revised depreciation expense? Okay, so let's see, no? So on January 1, 2020, the Bukchon Hanok Village has a carrying value of one of its equipment, okay, yung carrying value niya daw, having a salvage value of 10,000 amounting to 100,000 po. So that's the carrying value. Then the annual depreciation was 45,000. And the remaining useful life na lang po was 2 years. Now, on the same date, the company spends 50,000 to maintain the operations of the company or the equipment. Okay, so maintain lang yung word. First question, kanina, does it extends the life? Yung 50,000 na ginastos. Sinabi ba? Wala, di ba? So, X na yung una. Then, does it increase the operating effectiveness, the quantity, the capacity, or even does this decrease the amount of cost? Nilagay ba? Wala. 'Di ba? So ibig sabihin, this amount of 50,000 na ginastos natin does not meet, no, the requirement kanina previously discussed, that there would be an increase in future benefit, no? So it's just a maintenance or a cost of day-to-day servicing. So in that case, that 50,000 will be automatically charged as expense. Okay? So charge as expense yun. So in that case, the revised depreciation expense actually is the same, no? Which is 45,000. So kung sana nag-increase yung life, nag-increase yung operating efficiency or even the capacity or the quantity, idadagdag natin yung ating 50,000 sa costs, then we will be recomputing for the revised depreciation natin. So pero dito, chinarge na natin sa expense because it's just maintaining. Okay? So are we clear on this? Any questions or clarifications? Please let me know lang po. Okay? So, are we good on that, guys? Again, chat your questions pag may question. Okay, so let's proceed with another example. So again, the question was revised depreciation expense, and we need to identify whether we're going to capitalize the cost or not and what's the effect of it in our depreciation. Okay, so on January 1, 2020, Nami Island Corporation, okay, has a carrying value of the equipment, okay, which has previously having a salvage value of 10,000, okay. The carrying value was 100,000 and the remaining useful life was 2 years. Now, on the same date, which is January 1, 2020, okay, the company spent 50,000. So there was a subsequent expenditure of 50,000 related to the equipment, which increases the remaining useful life to 4 years. So nakita natin yung isang indicator, no, ng ating increase in the benefit, no. So that's why we are going to capitalize this 50,000. Okay, so idadagdag po natin yan sa ating equipment. So if you will be asking ano po yung journal entry kapag ito ay dinagdag, then that will just simply be debit equipment, okay, 50,000. Okay? And then credit po tayo ng cash. Sir, allowed pala yon kahit hindi bumili? Yes, no? Because it's capitalizable based on what we have discussed kanina. Okay? So either of those criteria kanina ha, na increase in the life, okay, and then increase the operating capacity, the quantity, or even the um, operating effectiveness, okay, or efficiency. Then kapag nag-improve yung quality, so any of those na na-met, then automatically i-capitalize po natin or i-add natin yung ating expenditure to the cost of our PPE. Okay, so inad na po natin. So ibig sabihin, our revised cost later would be magkano na? Okay, actually hindi binigay yung cost, no, kasi carrying value na pala yung binigay. So it will just be added to the carrying value of our PPE. Okay? So kanina in the example number 4, wala kasi nakalagay na it increase the remaining useful life. Ang term lang kanina is maintaining, kaya doon sa example 4, wala po tayong ginawa doon sa ating revised depreciation, as is pa rin kasi na-charge as expense yung cost of day-to-day servicing natin or the maintenance. Ito, kinapitalize. So what's the effect of it in our revised depreciation? So let's find out. So, given naman po that the carrying value of our PPE was 100,000. So, yun palagi po yung basis natin, no? The carrying value at the time na nagkaroon ng changes. Then, we will be adding the additional expenditure of 50,000. Okay? Then, again, okay, nung na-revise na natin, na-add na natin yung expenditure, okay, then we will be again reducing it with the salvage value given na 10,000 para ma-compute po natin yung revised depreciable base na 140,000 po. Then sabi, di ba, from the remaining 2 years na useful life, it became 4 years. So spread it out over the 4 years ulit. Okay, so that would be a revised depreciation for 2020 moving forward, no, amounting to 35,000. Okay? So, ayun ha, na-add natin siya dito. Unlike ulit kanina that is charged to expense. Kasi maintaining lang. Ito, it increases the life. Okay? So, are we clear, guys? Any questions or clarifications, please let me know lang po on our respective chat boxes. All right? So that's our examples for expenditures after initial recognition, no? The usual one. Now let's proceed po, no? Continue lang natin yung theoretical discussion, okay, about expenditures after initial recognition. So sometimes po, no, when we spend, okay, related to our PPE, no, it could be a replacement of a part, okay, or parts, no, ng PPE. So let's talk about now what will happen if we will try to replace a part of that PPE. Kanina kasi it's more on parang maintenance or even parang the usual na ginagastos natin, expenditures and overall, no? Pero dito, no, let's try to look into the parts. So when we talk about the parts, no, which can be replaced intervally, okay, or depending upon the entity, no, baka let's say humihina na yung parts or yung engines natin, kailangan na natin palitan. So what we need to do is to recognize that replacement, okay, if it incurs the recognition criteria being met. Okay, so ika-capitalize din po natin yon if, again, okay, it requires the recognition criteria natin na it's probable that there would be future economic benefits that would arise from replacing the parts. Okay, so ibig sabihin it's either, again, it will increase the capacity o kaya naman it will be extending the life of the asset kasi baka mamaya pasira na pala siya, and then it will still extending the life of an asset for additional years. Okay, so those were the criteria again that we need to take into account, that the cost of replacing the part would be added again to the carrying amount of our property, plant, and equipment. Okay, so if the criteria of recognition about PPE was being met, then again, kailangan nating i-recognize yung carrying value ng replace part. Kasi may value din yung replace part na yun eh. So di-recognize, tanggalin natin sa accounting record, and then you need to replace it. Okay? So although sabi dito, no, you need to replace the parts whether the replaced part have been depreciated separately. Okay? So tanggalin natin yon, okay, yung part na pinalitan, then of course, we will be replacing it, okay, with the other value that we have for the cost of replacing that part. Now, if just in case, no, that it is impracticable or not practicable for the entity to determine yung carrying amount po nung nire-replace na part natin, okay, kasi pwede po yun, no, na in totality natin binili yung PPE and then hindi naman po natin dine-depreciate yung, let's say, engine, okay, and other parts na pwede pong palitan. Ang sabi po dito, now we may use the cost of replacement as an indication of what costs of the replaced part was the time it was being acquired or constructed. Ano daw? So ang point lang nitong bullet number 4, okay, is just in case kasi 'di ba kanina in the third bullet, okay, it could be separately depreciated. So ibig sabihin halimbawa, no, you have a machine, okay, machine as a whole, and then may engine po siya. So kung initially ang naging treatment mo is i-depreciate mo yung machine, okay, tapos i-depreciate mo rin yung engine, so yun po yung separately, no? So kaya kasi nating i-assess yung value, magkano pa yung natitirang carrying value ng engine, okay? Natatanggalin natin at papalitan po natin. Okay, so yun yung nasa third bullet. Kaya mas madali siya since we can recognize the carrying amount of the replaced part. Okay. However, no, let's say for example in your accounting what you have did, okay, hindi po natin nakuha yung separate value ng engine, so we depreciate the asset in totality, no? So unlike with the first example na nade-depreciate separately yung engine, ito po in totality. So in that case, no, pag ni-replace na natin itong engine na to, okay, it's either failing engine na po, then what will happen is, okay, wala tayong madedetermine na carrying amount, 'di ba? Kasi wala siyang cost, wala siyang accumulated depreciation separately. So ang gagawin natin later, okay, in that case is it will be replaced by the cost ng replaced part. So parang ito yung naririnig na natin in the previous discussion na replacement costs. Okay, that the amount of the replacement ng particular part natin na yon, okay, will just be the amount of the carrying value din ng ating asset. So, kumbaga, pag dine-recognize natin, equal amount lang siya doon sa ating cost of replaced parts. Dito kasi sa third bullet, pag um, dinirecognize natin siya, possible that we can have yung tinatawag po natin na gain or loss on disposal as well. Okay? So are we clear on that? Okay. So continuing, no, the gain or loss arising from the recognition, okay, pag sinabi natin the recognition, it's either sale or um, replacement. Now, we will be discussing that separately in another video lecture, yung the recognition of PPE, no? So any gain or loss, okay, arising from the recognition of the PPE po natin shall be determined by the difference between the net disposal proceeds, if any, okay, and the carrying amount of the item. Okay? So, I hope that that is clear ha. So, titignan natin mamaya, no? Can we find the separate value of the replaced part of the PPE or not? Okay, because it will affect how we are going to record the values. Okay. So, to give you example, no, about this discussion, okay, so we have example number 6 now. So we have to prepare the entries in 2021. Okay, so let's read the problem. So on January 1, 2021, the factory machine of Shengsando Island Corporation experienced an engine failure. Ayun, no? Engine failure. Now, the asset was purchased in 2017, okay, with the cost of 364,000 and has a useful life of 7 years. So medyo matagal na rin pala, no? It's almost ilan yan, 17, 18, 19, 20. So 4 years na rin yung nakalipas. Now, the engine was replaced with similar item costs, the company 50,000. Okay? So ito yung pinalit. Nagkakahalaga ng 50,000. Ito, no? Makikita natin yung separate costs ng part. Ang sabi po, the replaced part has an original cost of 42,000. So we can have the separate value of our replaced engine. Okay, so ito yung actually third bullet kanina, no, that we can account it for separately and get the carrying value. Okay? So what we can do is actually, no, hindi naman natin gagalawin yung main machine mismo or the total machine, but we will just be getting the entry for the replace part. Okay? So for the replace part, dahil ito po ay nagkakahalaga ng 42,000, it will just be depreciated over 7 years din kasi yun lang naman yung useful life given. Okay? So previously, we have ilan pong years yung nakalipas? 17, 18, 19, 20. Kasi 2021 po nag-effect yung ating ni-replace na part. So, technically, nakalipas na po yung 4 years. May salvage value ba? Wala. So, if we divide the 42,000, di ba, with 7 years, so ibig sabihin, every year, that engine should have been depreciated at 6,000, di ba? Every year yon. Okay, iba pa yung ano ha, iba pa yung totality pa ng machine. Okay? So what will happen is you will be multiplying it by 4. So ibig sabihin as of again the beginning of the year 2021 at the time na nag-replace ng part, okay, we will have already the ano po natin, okay, the accumulated depreciation of 24,000. Okay? So, for our entry, no, we need to derecognize. Tatanggalin na po kasi natin yung old engine. Okay? So, pag tinanggal natin, ito po yung journal entry. Okay? Burahin ko lang para makita ninyo. So, we will be debiting the accumulated depreciation na na-compute po natin kanina, 24,000. Actually, ito rin po yun, no? Yung shortcut. Okay, then of course we will be crediting the machine, okay, or the engine na 42,000. Then of course, dahil po kung mapapansin ninyo, hindi na natin maibebenta yon or sabi sa problem hindi naman po binenta. So we will assume that the whole amount of 18,000 na carrying value on January 1, 2021 will be charged as loss. Sir, paano ulit kapag nabenta naman natin? So pag nabenta mo, then there would be a gain or loss, no? So kung halimbawa, sample ko lang to ha, pero wala siya sa problem. So halimbawa, nabenta natin yung ni-replace na engine, ginang shop mo pa, no? Pwedeng i-junk shop 'yon. Halimbawa, ginang shop mo ng let's say for example, 15,000. So magde-debit ka ng cash ng 15,000. Still, no, the carrying value was 18,000, kaya the rest would be chargeable to loss. Ang loss mo na lang pero is 3,000. Okay? So pag mas mataas mo pa na ibenta, edi magkakaroon ka naman ng gain. Okay? So we will be discussing that again separately about the disposal in another video. Okay? So going back to the original story of this problem, okay, na natanggal na po natin, no, in our accounting record yung value nung ating old engine. So we will now be replacing it with a similar item, kaso nagkakahalaga na daw siya ng 50,000. So the entry was debit machinery 50,000, then credit cash 50,000. Okay? So that would be for our replacement. Now, here comes on December 31, 2021, your adjusting entry for depreciation. Since nagkaroon po ng disposal, of course, mababawasan yung machine, then nadagdagan din naman siya because of the replacement, then there would be a distortion over the depreciation po natin. So let's find out, no, by how much are we going to record the revised depreciation natin. Okay, so on December 31, 2021, it would be a debit to depreciation expense, 62,667, and credit accumulated depreciation, 62,667. So how did we compute for it? Okay, that will just be simply the revised cost natin. So paano po nakuha yung revised cost? Initially, we have a total cost of 364,000. Then tinanggal po natin yung 42,000 na kasama doon, which is the original cost of the replaced part. Kasi 'di ba yung engine naman na yon is totality kasama doon sa original cost ng PPE. Then pinalitan lang natin siya ng 50,000. Okay? So napansin nyo rin sa entry, 'di ba, nag-credit tayo ng 42,000 kaya bawas po 'yon, and then nagdagdag tayo ng 50,000 since the machine was debited. So the revised cost po natin was actually 372,000. Okay? Then to continue with, no, so in totality, no, ng ating PPE, okay, not only the original engine na meron po tayo, in totality, ang accumulated depreciation natin bago nagkaroon ng replacement was amounting to 208,000. So paano na-compute yon? Yung 364,000 lang naman po na total cost natin, then times 4 over 7. Shortcut na lang yan kasi 'di ba 4 years yung nakalipas and then 7 years yung useful life. So we have just accounted for yung part nung depreciation or accumulated depreciation over the 4 years na 208,000. Then, as you have remembered, the January 1, 2021, nag-debit tayo ng accumulated depreciation. So bawas po tayo ng 24,000, 'di ba? Kaya ang accumulated depreciation at the time ng January 1, 2021 was 184,000. So kagaya rin nung kanina, change in accounting estimate, no, what we did is to compute for the revised carrying value before po tayo magkaroon ng changes. Okay? So the revised is actually 188,000, which will be spread out over the remaining 3 years. Sir, bakit 3 years? Kasi 'di ba, 7 years in total. Kung papansinin mo po yung problem, wala namang any changes in the useful life. So just less the 4 years na nakalipas na po. So we have remaining 3 years. Okay? Then our revised depreciation expense was 62,667. Okay? So are we clear on that? So that's now our revised depreciation after we have we have replaced the asset. Okay? So kung gusto mo itong 62,667, okay? So kung gusto mong kunin yung para lang sa engine, no? Ang para sa engine is yung 50,000 na lang po, then divided by 3. Okay? So magkano 'yan? 50,000 divided by 3. So that is equal to 16,667, no? Ibig sabihin, the 16,667 na amount na to, okay, is attributed to the engine. Okay? Pero in totality ng ating PPE, ang depreciation is 667. So hindi ba i-add yun? Hindi. Kasi itong revised depreciation na to, kasama na po yung ating what? engine dyan. So kung gusto mo nga lang hiwalay, no, kung engine lang ang gusto mo malaman, ito po yun. 50,000, which is now the new cost, divided by 16,000, divided by 3, sorry, no? Divided by 3, then that would be 16,667. Okay? Any questions or clarifications? So again, this example number 6 is a problem about a replaced part that we can identify the cost of it, no, separately. Okay, yung replaced part. Okay, so here comes now our last example for this lecture, no? So what if our machine, okay, and the part natin, okay, cannot be separately accounted for. Kanina may value pa tayo, no? Ngayon wala na. Okay, so let's determine the entries, no, for 2021 ulit, and let's read the data. So on January 1, 2021, the factory machine of Johnson Corporation, okay, experienced again engine failure. Halos hawig lang to ng problem 6, no? The original costs, which was purchased on January 1, 2017, was 364,000, and it has a useful life of 7 years. Now, the engine was replaced with similar item cost of 49,000. Okay, so that's our value of the new engine. Now, the costs of the replaced part is not separately identifiable, or baka naman hindi natin kayang i-identify yung value ng engine. So what we will do, okay, so sabi natin kanina in the theoretical discussion, okay, we can use, no, the replacement cost. And ano po yung replacement cost dito? The 49,000. So kumbaga, since 49,000 yung replacement cost, we will be assuming na yung pinapalitan nating parts na we could not identify kung magkano siya is still amounting to 49,000. Sir, yun ba yun? Yes, no? Yun yung replacement cost niya kasi we do not have any other data. Okay, unlike with the previous example number 6 na may allotted na amount ng cost since we can allocate the amount of the total machine at saka yung engine po natin. Okay, so the 49,000 will be our basis, and that's why as if 49,000 yung pinapalitan natin, so our January 1, 2021, na kapag tinanggal na po natin yung old engine, the entry as you can see here would be crediting the machine or the engine na 49,000. Okay, so ganun lang yun. No? So we will be replacing it with the similar amount of the replaced engine. Okay, and then to get the accumulated depreciation using that data, so yung 49,000 po na replacement cost, then multiplied it with 4/7 ulit kasi from 2017 up to January 1, 2021, it was already 4 years na po yung nakalipas, no? So the accumulated depreciation again was 28,000. So ayan po, may 28,000 tayo. Then of course, dahil hindi naman po binenta yung parts dito as mentioned, then we will charge them again all as loss. Okay, pero just in case lang po na naibenta yan, again, syempre, kailangan natin i-determine mas mataas ba or hindi yon doon sa remaining carrying value. Okay, but in this entry, we have charged it as loss. Okay, so after that, no, after natin matanggal yung machine and we use the replacement cost, okay, we put an entry, no, for the replacement. So it would be a debit machine then 49,000 and credit cash 49,000. So is it amazing na zero ang effect sa machine? Okay, actually the answer here would be yes, no? Kasi we credited the machine, okay, and then we debited it at 49,000. So parang wala ring nangyari doon sa machine, no? Yun nga lang, na-replace lang talaga siya by a new one. Okay, since we cannot separate talaga identifiable yung value nung ni-replace na part. Okay? Possible po yun, lalong-lalo na doon sa mga machines or equipment na hindi naman po talaga per piece or per part yung bentahan, di ba? Totality, binavalue yan pag binibili natin. Okay, so we cannot identify. Tanungin mo ba naman, no, how much yung engine mo? How much yung, let's say for example, exterior, no? So medyo awkward, no? Or even hindi naman talaga available yung data na yon in the market. Okay? So kaya itong replacement cost ang ginagamit. Now, here comes now the revised depreciation. Okay, so how much is the revised depreciation? So let's find out, no? So the entry would be debit depreciation expense, 61,333, and credit accumulated depreciation, 61,333. So how did we compute that? Okay. So as to the revised cost ulit, 'di ba 364,000 yung kanina, the original costs, then we have just credited the old engine which is 49,000 and replace it again with another 49,000 kaya naka-add. So still the revised cost was 364,000. Okay? So as to accumulated depreciation naman, so the whole cost ulit, no, multiplied with the 4/7, which is the 4 years na nakalipas, okay, over the 7 years na useful life. Thus, the accumulated depreciation before tayo nagkaroon ng replacement on January 1, 2021 was 208,000. Okay? And remember, no, nag-debit po tayo on January 1, 2021 ng 28,000. Kaya po ang natitira na lang na accumulated depreciation was the 180,000. Okay? So, deducting the accumulated depreciation from the revised cost. So, the revised carrying value as of January 1, 2021 was 184,000. So, itong 184,000 na yan, that will be spread out over the remaining 3 years ulit, no? Kasi tapos na po yung 4 years of the 7 years, no? Thus, the revised depreciation was 61,333. Okay? So are we clear on this? Any questions or clarifications? Please let me know lang po on our respective chat boxes. So I hope na you have clearly no identify how to prepare for the entries and how to compute for the revised depreciations no in case na we have a replacement of parts, even yung kanina kung babalikan natin, we have an additional expenditures being capitalized, or even there would be a change in accounting estimates, or there would be a change in salvage value, the useful life, or the depreciation method. Okay, so again, if you do have questions po, do not hesitate to key in your questions in our respective chat boxes. Okay, so again, thank you very much for attending, and I'll see you all on our next video lecture. Okay, kamsahamnida guys. Okay, God bless. Bye-bye.